Hello viewers and my students, welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to discuss Shelley's famous ode to a Skylark. This is set 2. This set contains 30 MCQs. To have the other two sets containing 30 each, click the links below. So, let's get started. Question number 31. To a Skylark was published in. The options are Queen Mab, The Revolt of Islam, Prometheus Unbound, Aleister. We know that Shelley's To a Skylark was published in 1820 in the volume Prometheus Unbound. So the right option is C, Prometheus Unbound. Not only To a Skylark but also another ode, that is Ode to the West Wind, was also published in the same volume in 1820, that is Prometheus Unbound. Next, question number 32. Higher, still and higher. This line describes the dash of the Skylark. Actually, this is about the upward motion of the bird. Higher, still and higher, from the earth thou springest. This is a part of the second stanza. This line describes the dash of the Skylark. Actually, this refers to the upward motion or upward flight of the Skylark. So the right option is A. Obviously, flight of the bird. Next, question number 33. The blue deep thou wingest. This line is an example of simile, metaphor, litotes, oxymoron. The blue deep thou wingest. Actually, here the vast blue sky is impliedly compared to a deep blue ocean, and the comparison is implied, not explicit. So this is an example of metaphor, not simile, because in a simile there is an explicit comparison. Litotes, in a litotes, a strong affirmation is made by denying the contrary. For example, he is a citizen of no mean city, the man is no fool. An oxymoron, in an oxymoron two contradictory words are juxtaposed for a striking effect. For example, this is an open secret, the boy is carefully careless, etc. So the right option is B, metaphor, because here the vast blue sky is impliedly compared to a deep blue ocean. So the comparison is implicit or implied one, so metaphor. Next, question number 34. Sound of vernal showers. Here the poet suggests the showers of rain in the season of. The options are autumn, spring, winter, summer. The right option is obviously spring, because we know that vernal is the adjective form of spring. So the right option is B, spring, because the word vernal, it's an adjective form, adjective of spring. Next, question number 35. Like a poet hidden in the light of thought. Here Shelley suggests the dash of the Skylark. Actually, here the idea of invisibility is suggested. Why invisibility? Because we can't see a poet, but we are inspired. That is, a poet's self is concealed. Likewise, the Skylark remains invisible in the dazzling light of the sun, but the song is audible. So the idea is obviously invisibility. So the right option is D. Next, question number 36. Like a cloud of fire, then it was the blue deep thou wingest. So herein is also described the upward flight of the bird. The line describes the upward flight or motion of the bird. So here cloud of fire means cloud, sun rays, flame, motion. Cloud of fire actually means flame or smoke. So the right option is C, flame. Like a cloud of fire. Cloud of fire equal to flame, and the bird flies upward like flame or smoke or cloud of fire. Then question number 37. Singing hymns unbeaten. Here unbeaten means joyous, superior, without labor, seriously. Actually unbeaten means spontaneously, automatically, that is without any labor or without any practice. So the right option is C, without labor. The song of the Skylark is called unpremeditated art. So unpremeditated, same meaning. Next, question number 38. From the earth thou springest. Here the address is to the, this is actually the part of second stanza. Higher still and higher from the earth thou springest. And this line describes the upward motion or flight of the bird. So obviously the address is to the Skylark, not flame, poet or moon. So the right option is C, Skylark. Then question number 39. The moon rains out her beams. This line is an instance of Pan personification, chiasmus, litotes. Actually this is an example of personification. No Pan, because in a Pan there is the duplicity of sense or meaning under the unity of sound. Chiasmus, because in a chiasmus there is an inversion of the order of words when repeated in the same sentence. No chiasmus. Litotes, in a litotes a strong affirmation is made by denying the contrary. So not a litotes. Why personification? Because here the moon is compared to a lady or is personified as a female. So this is personification. And why female? Because we know that moon is female and the sun is male. Because in English language, gender is determined according to strength. The sun is stronger, so male, and the moon is comparatively weaker, so female. So the right option is B, personification. Then question number 40. And singing still does so, and soaring ever singest. That is both the activities, singing and soaring or flying, go on side by side. And rhetorically, this is an example of Pan, personification, transferred epithet, chiasmus. The right option is obviously chiasmus. Why chiasmus? Because we know that in a chiasmus there is the inversion of the order of words when repeated in the same sentence. For examples, beauty is truth, truth beauty. And also fair is foul, foul is fair. Likewise, and singing still does so, and soaring ever singest. So the order of words, that is singing still does so, becomes inversed when repeated in the same lines. So this is an example of chiasmus. Then question number 41. Shelley's To a Skylark contains dash stanzas. We know that To a Skylark contains 21 stanzas and each stanza contains 5 lines. So the right option is B, 21. Then 42. All the earth and air with thy voice is loud. Here the poet suggests the dash of the bird songs. The options are sadness, sweetness, presence, superiority. All the earth and air with thy voice is loud. Loud means filled with. So Shelley means to say that the bird song is present everywhere, or the song of the bird is audible or omnipresent, or it's audible from anywhere. So here the poet highlights the presence of the bird song, or he means to say that the song is present everywhere. So the right option is C, presence. That is, the song is audible or omnipresent. Next, question number 43. To Shelley, the sources of the Skylark song is or are fields, waves, mountains, all. Actually, in stanza 15, Shelley conjectures the sources of the bird song, and the lines are, What objects are the fountains of the happy strain? What fields or waves or mountains? So, the right option is D, all, because the poet conjectures that the sources may be fields, waves or mountains. So, the right option is D. Next, 44. Like a cloud of fire. This is an example of alliteration, simile, interrogation, pun. No alliteration, because in an alliteration there is the repetition of the same sound or syllable or word. Interrogation, a question is raised but the answer is implied within the very question. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? Pun, duplicity of sense or meaning. So, simile. And herein also we find a comparison between the bird and cloud of fire. Cloud of fire means smoke or flame. So the comparison is explicit. Why explicit? Because here we find the word like. So explicit comparison equal to simile. So the right option is B, simile. Next, 45. Chorus hymeneal. Here we find a or an dash allusion. Chorus hymeneal. Actually, chorus hymeneal means marriage song or the song sung by young men and women during matrimony, or matrimonial song sung by young men and women. And hymeneal is the adjective form of hymen, the god of marriage according to classical mythology. So herein we find a classical allusion. Why classical allusion? Because the word hymeneal comes from hymen, and hymen is the god of marriage according to classical mythology. So the allusion is obviously classical allusion. Then question number 46, which screen it from the view? And here it means it is obviously the glowworm or firefly, because the full line is among the flowers and grass which screen it from the view. So it refers to the firefly or glowworm which is invisible due to the flowers and grass. So the right option is D, firefly. Next, number 47, Langa cannot be. Here the line relates human beings, the bird, the rose, Mcqs. With thy clear keen giants, Langa cannot be. In stanza 16 we find the lines. And this is obviously about the bird or skylark, because skylark enjoys extreme happiness, or skylark lives amidst extreme happiness without langa or annoyance. Next, question number 48. The name of Shelley's second wife was. The right option is obviously B, Mary, because Mary Shelley was his second wife and the first wife was Harriet, or Harriet Westbrook was first wife and second wife was Mary. So the right option is B. Then question number 49. To Shelley, the skylark is the symbol of, the options are sadness, wildness, joy, indifference. The right option is obviously joy. Why joy? Because Shelley repeatedly addresses the bird as blithe spirit, unbodied joy, and also he addresses or makes an fervent appeal, teach me half the gladness that thy brain must know. So the term joy or gladness is related to the bird. So the right option is C, joy. Next, number 50. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. Rhetorically, this is an example of, the options are zeugma, pun, litotes, epigram. And this is obviously D, epigram. Why epigram? Because we know the definition. In an epigram, there is a shocking contradiction in the apparent meaning of the language or expression used, but there is an inner significance. For example, the child is the father of man, failures are the pillars of success, cowards die many times before their death, etc. And herein also we find an inner significance, and the line suggests that human life is full of sorrows and sufferings. That's why they prefer tragedy or the song dealing with sad aspects. That is why our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought or sad elements. So this is an example of epigram rhetorically. Next, question number 51. Till the world is wrought. Here wrought means, obviously, wrought means roused. Question number 51, the right option is B. Why roused? Because according to Shelley, the world is in a slumber and the people of the world will be roused after being inspired by the poet's poem or the ideals of the poet. That's why till the world is wrought. Wrought means roused. Then number 52. A thing wherein we feel there is some hidden want. Here a thing suggests the song of, and this is obviously the song of both chorus hymeneal or triumphant chant. So the right option is C, both. Here the thing suggests the song of marriage or chorus hymeneal or victory or triumphant chant, both the songs. Next, question number 53. Its aerial hue, the description is about, and its aerial hue, scattering unbeholden its aerial hue. So the glowworm or firefly remains unbeholden or unseen, but scatters the aerial hue or the faint light. So the right option is D, glowworm or firefly. Next, question number 54. Triumphant chant is also known as elegy? No. Hymn? No. Epinician? Epithalamion. Elegy, lyric poem dealing with emotion. Hymn, religious song or poem. And epithalamion, song of matrimony or marriage song. So the right option is Epinician or triumphant chant or song of victory. Next, question number 55. We look before and after. Here, before means past and after means future. And this is the line from stanza 18. We look before and after and pine for what is not. So before means past and after means future. And here Shelley means to say that we ignore the obviously present, because human beings always remain in the past and future, avoiding the present. So the right option is B, present. Next, 56. The blue deep, the wingest. Here blue deep refers to the blue sky, and herein we find an implied comparison between the blue deep ocean and the vast blue sky. So blue deep refers to the blue sky. The right option is A. Next, question number 57. A thing wherein we feel there is some hidden want. Here a thing refers to the song of. It is obviously the song of marriage and triumphant chant. That is chorus hymeneal or triumphant chant or song of victory. And these two songs are related to men. So the song of men. The right option is B. Then question number 58. In a dale of dew. Here dale means the sky, the earth, air, valley. No. Here dale means D, valley. And it is said about the firefly, like a glowworm golden in a dale of dew. That is dale or valley covered with trees. Next, question number 59. And pine for what is not. Here, what is not means the thing which is real, unreal, easy to obtain, past, and it is obviously unreal because human beings always pine for the things which are impossible to attain or which are obviously unreal. That's why their life is full of tragic aspects because they long for things which are unreal and impossible to attain. As a result, failure comes to their life. Their life is full of unsuccess or failure. Then, question number 60. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. Here Shelley means that human life is full of sorrow, joy, adventure, uncertainty. Obviously, sorrow. Because according to Shelley, human life is full of sorrows and sufferings. But the bird, that is Skylark, lives amidst extreme happiness. So the right option is A, sorrow. Completed all the questions.